You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
In accordance with the United Federation of Planets Freedom of Information Act, this podcast has been declassified for your eyes and ears in the spirit of it's Monday night, it's 7 p.m., and it's time for Mission Log Live. My name is Charlene Schmidt, sitting in tonight for John Champion.
And I'm Ashley Thomas, sitting in for Heather Ray Barker. And I hope you've brought popcorn because we are taking a metaphorical trip to the movies tonight. But we're not watching just any old movie. We're watching a documentary. We're here to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 7, What is Starfleet? And we want to hear from you. Just click on the Zoom link in our chat or use the meeting and passcode that you see on screen, and that'll send you right to the Earl Green Room before joining us on air.
Now, while folks get settled in the Earl Green Room, let's say hello to everybody in the YouTube live chat. So, hello to BC with his Alan Moraine. Hello, hello. Paul W. Do we have a Paul Fecta? Let's find out. We've got Paul Harveth. Where's Paul T? It's not a show until we have the Paul Fecta. Michelle Harveth is here. Cheyenne is here. Mark's here. Dr. Nani's here. Laura. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. We got
Rotten.
Foz Rotten, yeah.
I love that username so much.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
So good.
Lots of cool people hanging out with us tonight, Char.
Love it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, don't forget, while you're all here, click subscribe to Roddenberry Entertainment, like this video, and tell us who you are in the chat. Did you know that you can subscribe just by using the command !subscribe in the chat? Cool, right? You can find this and all other sorts of cool functions by typing !commands in chat and then hit enter. But speaking of cool things, let's do a quick rundown of what's happening in the Roddenberry podcast universe. Shar, how about you kick us off by telling everyone what's going on with Mission Log?
How about that? Because it is an episode I like a lot. This week on Mission Log, John and Norman are covering Shattered, looking at all the time frames and asking the all-important question, is this a clip show but done right? You can do the command !mission log to find out more. And Ashley, what is going on with genealogy this week? Something big, right?
Well, Earl and I took a look at the final script that Gene Roddenberry contributed to the TV show Jefferson Drum, literally entitled Stagecoach Episode. Now, Char, would you have ever guessed that this episode takes place on a stagecoach?
No.
Shocking. No. I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, we had quite a few thoughts about this one, and you are truly in for a glorious soapbox rant from Earl on this episode. So please type. I know, right? I love a good Earl rant. It's my favorite. So type the command genealogy, and that's spelled Geneology, in the chat, and that will help you catch up on this week's show and the rest of the genealogy back catalog.
Yeah. Now, the Trek Files is on hiatus right now, so if you haven't caught up on all 13 seasons now with Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, now's a great time. And especially that season 13 finale with Jonathan Frakes is still a banger. It's worth listening to more than once if you already have listened to it. There will be a return date soon, and use the command Trek Files to find out more there.
Yeah. We've also got Does It Fly? You need to join hosts Hakeem and Tamara as they put all of your favorite pop culture concepts to the test and determine once and for all if they're possible in the real world. This week, they explore how the Vulcan mind meld works.
Ooh, I gotta listen to that one. I want to know how the Vulcan mind meld works, don't you?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt with things, if you really want to find out what to get somebody for their birthday or the holidays or whatever, just like,
get yourself
like, hey, come here.
Right? I need to know how this works. So, while all of those and more are available wherever you download your favorite podcasts, you can see the whole lineup as well at podcast.roddenberry.com. And before we get into our callers, we've got to recap this episode. And Ashley, I believe you have recapped What is Starfleet?
Yeah. So, folks, this week on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Beto Ortegas debuts his documentary titled What is Starfleet? To answer this question, he interviews members of the Enterprise crew, asking their perspectives on how they feel about difficult topics, such as following orders, fighting in war, death, and so much more. The lighter side of life. But between interviews, the documentary follows a day-in-the-life format as the Enterprise is tasked with transporting the Jakaru, a massive space butterfly dragon, to Lutani 7. Now, while en route, the creature is attacked by a Lutani warship. Why? A dying Lutani scientist offers clues. We were wrong, she says, and warns that the Jakaru is a mistake. The reason? Spock, Uhura, and Chapel realize that the Jakaru is a weapon. A creature first, but also a weapon, and she is agitated after the attack. Her neural dampener, aka shock collar, was damaged. Spock senses that she wants to communicate, and Uhura agrees that should be their next course of action. Unfortunately, time is short and they've got their orders. They're going to have to lasso the creature like a bronco and get it to its destination instead. Beto questions if delivering a weapon to a planet at war is a good idea. The question weighs heavily on Pike and Una, too, in private conversation. Following orders when you don't want to is the part of the job that no one warned you about. Later, Beto takes it a step further in conversation with Uhura and asks if she thinks Starfleet's actions are that of a colonizing force, not a benevolent federation. Put off by the question, Uhura asks him to leave and not come back to the bridge. When a plan to put a new neural dampener on the Jakaru torpedo fails, Spock, Uhura, and Chapel take a fun-sized shuttlecraft in an attempt to communicate. Spock makes contact via neural link and makes some progress, but a Lutani ship comes in, attacks the Jakaru, and the creature retaliates. The trio make it back to safety on Enterprise, but Chapel and Spock are in need of Mbenga's care. That leaves Uhura, who volunteers to pick up where Spock left off, despite the risks to herself. As she hums along with the Jakaru's well-like song language, the Uhura learns that the Jakaru was manipulated by the Lutani to become a destructive weapon of war. She is in pain, can't stand what she has become, and wants to die. The Jakaru also wants assurance that her children will not be altered in the way that she has. With Starfleet Command's approval, Pike assures that the Jakaru that her children will be safe. Vor, the commander aboard the Lutani vessel, objects to this new course of action, but too bad. Starfleet's going to help his people, but not like this. And with that, the Enterprise helps the Jakaru find peace. Meanwhile, in sickbay, Uhura lays down some truth on Beto. He's asking good, difficult questions that should be asked, but he's asking them out of a place of anger, not intellectual curiosity. That anger stems from his sister leaving the family to join Starfleet and nearly dying on her away mission. Can he put that anger aside and make amends? Beto's approach, and thus the documentary, take on a different tone. He gets some truth from his sister Erica about why she joined Starfleet. She found a family on the ship she calls home, where she feels in control. That sense of family and togetherness also gives hope, and that theme runs through several concluding interviews with Una, Uhura, and Spock. Beto admits that he wasn't expecting this side of Starfleet, and lets Uhura have the last word. We make Starfleet what it is, not the other way around. And with that, Beto's documentary ends, leaving the viewer to come to their own conclusions about Starfleet. The end.
Thank you for that excellent recap, Ashley. And how about we just jump into it? What are your overall impressions on this? I am so curious because I don't know about you. I've been on the internet. I have seen people land in places all over regarding this episode, from absolute love to absolute hate and everywhere in between. So excited to hear what our callers have to say, but how about you go first? Host privilege.
Ooh, gosh. For me, hashtag more tag us. I got it. I got some. I got some.
Ortegas, yes.
Some Ortegas. I've been begging for more Ortegas backstory. And this actually is the fulfillment of an interview I heard Melissa give after season 1, where she talked about Ortegas has experienced loss. And we have never gotten any further information on that. So I was just wondering, is this something that Melissa has backstoried herself in her head? And that's how she's influencing how she's playing the character? But no, we actually got it this week and we find out, okay, we know where she's coming from now, and I really love that. And there's a lot more I could say about that, but I want to hear what our callers have to say. How about you? What was a highlight for you?
So a highlight. What I do like is that this episode does not spoon feed us any conclusions. It makes us think about where we want to go with it, and that is why we have such divisive opinions as an audience about this episode, which I think is great. And for the most part, I'm a fan of Strange New Worlds taking risks and doing a different format like this. However, I have one thing I really have got to get out of the way before anything else. And because I've seen a lot of people call Beto Ortegas a journalist. He's not necessarily a journalist. He is a filmmaker, and those two professions often cross paths, but they are not one and the same. As a filmmaker, he can come in with that agenda, do a hit piece, whatever he wants. As a journalist, he could not do that. He would be bound by ethics, where it is get the information, report the information, keep yourself out of it. And honestly, I think he should have completely made this about his journey entirely, discovering what is Starfleet. He sort of kept himself out of it, and I don't think it was a good approach, nor do I think he's a terribly great filmmaker at this point. He is a young guy, though. He has potential, so who knows where his career is going to go. And this was an attempt.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I want to say about that. I could go into a lot more detail, but you know what? We just don't have the time. And we've got our first caller lined up. So, how about we bring Mark into the room?
All right. Hi,
Hello,
Mark.
Jar and Ashley. It's good to see you. And I like the fact that there's three of us are rocking the three different colors of Star Trek with the
We sure are.
command, operations, and science for me.
I
Look at
love
us
it.
go.
Fun.
Nice.
We
Um,
planned that. We definitely planned that.
Mhm.
and I just wanted to say, since it's Star Trek Monday, before I get into my point, I just wanted to share I had a whole bunch of Star Trek arrive today in the post.
Ooh,
Ooh.
So
nice.
some
Okay.
TNG, some
Building that
TNG.
collection.
Very,
Yes.
very pro physical media.
Oh, I'm very pro physical media. What I wanted to come out and talk about today is I think the idea of talking about Star Trek's an interesting one, and there's some interesting things around what it is. And one of the things that I wanted to parallel to of something that's building it is there's a game called Star Trek Adventures, which is a
Hmm.
tabletop gaming series, which lets you play in the world of Star Trek at various points of from Enterprise all the way up to the Picard era and it
Interesting.
and what and one of the big things that it does is that it sets out that trying to getting into conflict or a fight is the last thing you want to do in the game. If you get into it, it can actually cause you to be demoted or have something happen to your character if it's not the absolute last method. And I think that's to me is what Starfleet is that yes, it goes on the dangerous missions where something happens, but it tries to seek understanding and learn things first. And conflict is always a thing. And I think in your recap, you get some of that thing of them trying to grapple with that. Especially, we're not that many years removed from the Federation Klingon War that happened in Discovery, thanks to the Battle of Binary Stars. So that's fresh in the minds of people and I think that and especially Starfleet can very much reflect our society at the time. So in the 1960s was very much about that more opportunist, get out there and exploring. And we saw under Picard, I'm sorry, some people might not like that, but Starfleet became looked in on self, which at times society that we know, especially in the 2000s and 2010s, looked at that. And I think, that's an important lens of seeing Starfleet is what's happening around us at the same time. And this episode was made a couple of years ago. And to tie that into the RPG, you make decisions and other things just like they make in this episode. And I think that and I think that we often grapple with are we right or are we wrong? And in the situations that Starfleet faces, there might not be a right answer, to quote Picard from TNG. And I think that's important to know that you can only go based on the facts you have and you gather as much as you have. And I think that's another message is that we're Starfleet and us, we always continue to learn. And I think that's a message that hopefully some people found in this episode. And I think we continue to find in other episodes of Strange New Worlds where learning is the constant battle. And sometimes we do well at it. Sometimes we get taken over things and our eyes get burned out and other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I think the power is that um, the human adventure is the one where we're constantly learning, and I think that to
Yeah.
me is what Starfleet is, and that's how
I
I'll
love
finish.
this. So you answered the question, what is Starfleet? And you gave us your perspective. That's fantastic. And
Love it.
also, I've not played this RPG, but it sounds like Uhura and Spock and Chapel might win if they were all playing around a table one night because they would try to communicate first and not resort to violence.
Yes, well, and I actually did the Balance of Terror episode with the Romulan Warbird. I ran it at a convention with friends of where they got to do that encounter from the original series, doing doing the battles, and there was no way you could get out of it. And this is the first edition. They've just released a second edition. I believe Dr. Aaron McDonald has helped work on the second edition.
Hmm.
And a host of other one. The company that makes it is called Modiphius. They do a lot of science fiction ones, and they put a lot of work into good things. So if you like Star Trek and tabletop gaming, I highly recommend it. They have a lot of add-ons and additional things that let you be able to do all kinds of neat Star Trek stuff that
Wow.
lets you be able to do your own What is Starfleet
Yeah.
Oh,
And
for
they
cool.
as
should
long as you
hire you,
want to.
Mark.
Yeah,
They should hire
I'd
you to do
say,
their advertising. You just
think
did
we
it.
can get them to sponsor us. Let's work on that.
Seriously. Well, thank you for all of that, Mark. Do you have any other final thoughts before we go to our next caller?
No, I just look forward to being able to see what this season has, and continue to see if it has its up and downs, especially as we're now well over the halfway point of the season, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen to lead into the cliffhanger into four and what potential changes we may see with the crew of the Enterprise.
Hmm.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks so much for calling in. That was really good info. Hope
Yeah,
people will check out the game now.
yeah. Thanks
Hmm.
for calling, Mark.
Thanks.
Thank
Take care,
you.
buddy.
All right, see you, bro.
All right, let's talk to Chris now. Hey, buddy. You are muted, sir.
There we go. Try that again.
Hey, there you
All
are.
right. Yes.
Hi.
Hi,
Good to see you,
Chris.
Shar. Good to finally meet you, or meet you,
Ah,
Ashley. This is
yeah,
very
yeah. Thanks for
exciting.
calling.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched this a couple times, and I've sort of come to the conclusion. I think a lot of the friction is because we kind of have two things here. We have What is Starfleet, the episode of Strange New Worlds, which I think is very good and has a wonderful sort of moral meaning message at the end about doing right and things are built from the bottom up and not the top down. But you also have the in-universe documentary that Beto's doing. I think that's where a lot of people are getting tripped up. Like you said, Char, he's not really being a journalist. He's honestly kind of using this as a therapy vessel, like to sort of deal
He
with the
is.
stuff
That's
that between
fair.
him and Erica. The way he conducts the interview with Uhura in particular feels not great, especially just like,
No.
especially given like you ostensibly care about this woman. Like, shall we perhaps treat her with a little bit of kindness and not farm her for
Yes.
clicks?
Yeah, yeah. That didn't sit right with me.
Me neither. I did not like the way he would ask the difficult questions. Like Barbara Walters, he is not. He's not searching or he's not trying to get an honest answer out of the people he's interviewing. He's trying to get a reaction for his documentary, the gotcha effect. Not cool, bro.
Yeah, so I think that's a lot of it. But I will say this episode, as a piece of Star Trek, as a piece of sort of that canon, I think is very good and one of the best we've had so far. And to just get a little more into that, sort of that end bit, especially in 2025, sort of gestures around. I won't
Mm-hmm.
say more than that, but
Wildly, yeah.
yeah, yeah. The idea that you can do good in your individual life, that the things you do matter, and that those things can kind of rack, they can stack up and to build something more, something better. I thought that was very profound and very moving right about now.
Mhm.
That's a very good point. And you're right. We things do seem insurmountable in the here and now, as they probably do when you're out there alone in space and you're trying to move mountains with a starship, that sort of thing. And do they give up? No. Should we give up? No.
Yeah. Okay.
So what
What
other
else?
thoughts have you got on your mind about this
What
one? Like
else?
overall, did you like it?
I did like it overall. And again, once I sort of sorted out the kind of divide between the in-universe documentary and the episode of the TV show I'm watching, I think that that helped a lot. I'm gonna steal something from one of our other Discord people. Shout out Mike Mullen. He had a
Hey.
really interesting comment in the spoiler for the other day about sort of the camera angles and the way that because a lot of it is all the security cams, and he had this very interesting comment that I really liked about the idea that it locks everyone in place, but you also sort of feel everyone in space, like on the bridge, the way it cuts between them, you sort of get that like spatial interaction, and so you feel like they're sort of working as a team. And I thought that was a really good insight. And just so shout out Mike for having good insights.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah.
to Mike and shout out to the Discord too, where there's been a great discussion about this episode. I mean, it's always lively, but this one especially has had such divergent viewpoints. And there's never been a blow up or there's never been anybody, oh my gosh, I hate blah, 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 blah." No, we've had a very civil, good, thorough discussion. It's been great.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
would agree. It's been really fun to get everybody's perspectives. I have to review this for for my work at Fangirlish, and I've got my ideas. By the time I get them down on paper and then I go check the Discord, I'm like, whoa, y'all thought about like 800 things that did not even occur to me. And oh snap, my review's already published. Well, you guys are just smart. It's great.
That's the thing is not one brain is going to think of everything. And so sort of like the board collective, we all work together and explore all the angles. Sometimes it's a good thing.
Hmm.
Well, any other thoughts you got, Chris, before we turn over to Paul?
that's about it. I know we've got a very full Hollywood Squares Earl Green Room tonight.
We
Um,
do,
so
yes.
I will let you guys go. But always good to see you and talk track, and looking forward to more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for calling in. Good
Yeah.
to see you. And nice shirt, by the way. I think I have the same shirt
I'd
as
say,
you're
I'd
wearing
say,
tonight.
Shar, I think you've
Is
got
that
that. Yeah,
Mariner?
yeah, you got
The
that one.
Mariners. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
I sure do. All right,
Alrighty.
buddy. Well, take
All
care.
right.
Have a good
See ya.
night.
Thanks for coming, Chris.
All right, Paul Harveth. How's it going, sir?
BattleBots in the house. BattleBots in the house.
BattleBots.
BattleBots.
Yes.
Great show in Vegas if you're there. Anyway, so much for the free plug for those people.
Done
Say,
and done.
can they sponsor us too? Let's do that.
Yeah, why
Please,
not?
sponsors.
Ashley, I got to ask you, is the hair you're wearing Pike inspired? Is that what we got going on?
And I was like, take a look from the side. We're going for the Mortegas, or the Ortegas.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought it,
but I'm not bold enough to do the side shaves. So
okay, so it's sort of Spike Tegas, or I mean, Pike
Ooh.
Tegas.
yeah,
Pike
yeah,
Tegas.
a little. I mean, a little bit of both. I don't have nearly enough hair compared to either of them, to
You,
be able to fully accomplish it. But this is the best I got with some very fine thin
yeah,
hair.
so look who you're talking to. I tried a few times 50 years ago, and
And
oh
you
my
know
word.
what? Honestly, it doesn't matter how much hair you have. That takes a lot of product to achieve.
And
Truly.
this takes none.
I mean, it just you have simplified your morning, Paul. That's all
That
you're
is
doing.
correct. The morning is
Yeah,
the
and
morning.
save money.
Yes, absolutely do that.
So where'd you land on this one, Paul?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to talk about the season as an invitation to
Okay.
think and to react. And what's interesting is if we roll back 60 years, people were doing the same thing in the 60s, probably to those episodes, but they couldn't react as quickly. They had to find their secluded little clubs or their secluded little fan letters. Today, it's instantaneous. So the discussion that Star Trek generates is still going on, but much faster and with much passion. That's what I really, really find intriguing about this season. I mean, episodes that I dearly love, good friends of mine go, what are you talking about? And back and forth. Now, as far as this episode, I've been waiting for this episode for 60 years. What is Starfleet? I think it's the most complete answer we've ever had. I think that,
Ooh.
the emphasis of the mission, except for the fact they didn't include all the boredom that Pelia talks about going in between all these actions, right? So
She got cut out of this thing.
she did, and
I bet she's mad.
I don't know. She's getting paid, fewer lines.
Was she
just to
though?
get,
Future?
yeah, well, maybe not. Who knows? I found it just riveting. In fact, my wife and I were watching this the first time, and when we got done, first of all, we're both have tears coming down our face at the end because it's like, wow, they tie that up in a bow. I'm not sure
Real
if it's a
pretty.
shiny. I'm not sure if it's a shiny bow, but it's like, wow, what a package to hand to their fans. Both sides of it. So it's getting the response I expect it would. But we literally couldn't talk to each other for 5 to 10 minutes after. We just sat there looking at the television, going, "What did we just see?" Trying to process. The Doctor Who episode comes to mind with the space whale, where they were torturing the space whale that was carrying
Oh,
um,
yeah.
from the first season with Matt Smith, and then another episode from another one of our franchises, which is Heroes from Stargate, and we weren't quite sure where it was going. When you saw Chapel and you saw Spock, I mean, it's like, well, they'll probably make it, but man, if they would have had Lon with her head gashed open. It's like, don't do this to me. Not after, no, please.
Seriously.
So yeah, it was a remarkable episode, and as a photographer, the thing that I just just thoroughly entranced by was the portraiture. The portraiture on the sides, the side lighting, perfect fill light. These actors in their best moments with incredible direction, incredible skill. It felt real. It felt
Hmm.
really, really real. Particularly when the interrogation to Pike about seeing a person die was
Yeah.
just gut-wrenching, right? And
Yeah. I mean, there were some very pointed questions and some very honest answers. And I really like what Pike had to say about that. Like, if you
absolutely.
haven't seen that, I don't recommend it. Yeah.
Yes. So all I got to say is before this episode, I was watching a true documentary called Listers, which is about people who chase birds around the country on YouTube. And it just sort of,
Cool.
and then the next day I'm watching that, and then I watch this, and it's like, oh, they're sort of in the same vein, except one is much better acted. The other is a real documentary. So if you really want to find out what crazy bird watching is about, go watch Listers. Another I'm not trying to do this, but it's so funny to watch a real documentary than to see this and see how neat and tidy and perfect it is, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
it was, oh man,
It's
top
still a
notch.
TV production.
Yeah, I give it high marks. Can't wait to hear what our next caller has to say because it's John always has just a thought that I had never even crossed my mind. So I'm looking forward to
No
Yeah.
pressure, John.
it. And ladies,
But it's true.
thanks for allowing this old guy into girls' night out at Mission Log Live.
Hey, you know what?
Hey.
Happy to have you. You're always welcome. Good to
You,
see you, buddy.
you can crash girls' night whenever, Paul.
Oh
Just bring
Yeah,
my.
you're
snacks.
allowed.
Just bring snacks.
I'll bring Michelle too.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
please.
cool.
Yes.
Deal. It's a
Yes.
All right.
party.
Hugs.
All
See you
right, take
guys.
care, buddy.
Bye,
Bye
Paul.
bye.
Well, hey, we are just about at the midpoint of our show. So before we get to John, sorry, John, we're going to delay you a tiny bit more. We're going to talk about the Mission Log Discord. This is where you get to the insider stuff. We keep mentioning it all the time on the show, and it's because so much is happening there. And you can join us if you're not already there. Patreon.com/missionlog or type !Patreon into the chat to learn more. Ashley, you've been a part of the Discord for a while now, and what has your experience been? I mean, are you enjoying yourself?
Listen, the Mission Log Discord is my favorite place on the internet. I can always
Same.
find thoughtful discussion about Star Trek. The like banal nonsense that you run into on the internet, it's not in our Discord. You
Did
know,
not like that.
no. People are posting about lots of things that aren't Star Trek specific. Like we're all sci-fi fans here. We have a lot of sci-fi and fantasy love. We also love food. We love sharing pictures of our pets. We,
Yes.
besides Roddenberry podcasters, this is a great place for podcasters to hang out. People are sharing like the podcasts they're doing in the
Yes.
podcast frequencies section of the Discord. There are live chats every single day of the week, pretty much.
Yeah, at this point, there's sometimes two chats in a
Yeah,
night. It's
multiple chats.
crazy.
Yeah.
Stuff about conventions. You can go to Kontiki and talk with Paul Harveth. We've got Quantum Leap. We've got Battlestar Galactica. We've got Farscape going right now. And then, of course, After Dark, which is where we discuss the latest mission log when it drops on Thursdays. And we have a good time. And genealogy.
Genealogy After
more,
Dark.
and more.
And more. But wait,
There's-
there's more.
There's so much going on, and going to Patreon, signing up for as little as $1 a month is your key to keep it, or to get access to the Discord server. Please join us. That helps us out by keeping the lights on for this podcasting thing we're doing, and we hope to see you all there.
Yeah.
Now, with all of that, let's go to John.
Hi, John.
Hi. How's it going?
Hey,
Hey.
good. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, thank you.
All right.
Wow, I have a lot of thoughts about this episode,
Yeah,
but I'll try and keep
okay.
it brief.
Bring it.
So my first like visceral reaction to the Jikaru, that's the name of the space creature, right?
Yes, it is.
It really reminded me of the creatures in not necessarily in form, but like in function of the space squids in Encounter at Farpoint. Like
Yes.
these
Ooh.
gigantic, like living in space creatures that have been wrangled by humanoids to do their bidding and are sort of like living in misery. And maybe it speaks to the sort of core philosophy of Strange New Worlds as opposed to TNG, that the end of Encounter at Farpoint is like pure joy and happiness, where the creature finds its mate and they go off and like have other space squid together. And this one, we give it an assisted suicide.
More or less. I mean, how miserable,
Yeah.
how awful must it feel to just
Yeah.
want to just to die? I felt horrible for the
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jakaru.
Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
heartbreaker for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Gosh.
and I really appreciate how much the episode um was able to help us empathize with this creature so like beyond our reckoning. So I love that about it because I'm an ardent Encounter at Farpoint apologist. So any episode that reminds me of that, I appreciate.
You
Um,
did a good job of showing the parallels. There were a couple
yeah,
things that you mentioned that I didn't catch. So, right on.
and just on the subject of like up close documentaries about uh the military, I recently saw a documentary called 2000 Meters to Andreevka. I don't know if
Hmm.
anybody's familiar with 20 Days in Mariupol, but they're both by the same director about the war in Ukraine. And 2000 Meters to Andreevka is about a specific region in Ukraine where, like, in order to be in, like, it'd be impossible for a reporter to be embedded, they literally be under fire. So this documentarian, he basically attaches body cams to these soldiers, um, and that's interspersed with interview footage where he's asking them, like, can you win this war? Like, tell me about yourself. Why are you here? That can a lot of the same questions that were asked in this episode. But it's a great documentary, but you see soldiers get killed.
Mm.
Like
So, it's not
some
lighthearted, that's for sure.
no, like you're watching from the point of view of one soldier, and in front of him is his buddy, and then there's an explosion, and his buddy's dead in the next scene.
Oh,
So
wow.
very harrowing. But I think it's an interesting contrast to like a real documentarian trying to do a subject about like trying to get into the psychology of these people dedicating their lives to something greater than themselves, and then this fictionalized version of it. And hopefully we can get to a place where wars like the war in Ukraine are a thing of centuries past, and we have an opportunity to interrogate the morality of something like Starfleet.
That would be
Yeah.
nice if we
It'd be
could move
nice.
past.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So, in your thoughts, do you think that Beto's method of asking these very pointed, deep answer questions
Yeah.
to the crew, I mean, did you like that? Do you think that was real and raw? Is that similar to the documentaries that you're citing here?
I think a lot of them are like fair in just trying to get into the psychology of these characters, but in some ways it's like unfair, like asking like a 20-something-year-old ensign, are these orders justified? Have you ever disobeyed an order? Because
Uh-huh.
like I don't know how the legalese of Starfleet goes, but in the American military, any order is assumed to be legal.
Mm.
So if you're like a 19-year-old corporal or whatever, and you're ordered to murder somebody by a lieutenant, if you say no, you're court-martialed, and you have to prove in court that that order was illegal,
Yay. Yeah.
which is a heavy thing to ask like a 19, 20-year-old enlistee to judge. And I think it's unfair of Beto to ask these young service people like, well, what do you think of the overall grand strategy of Starfleet, like on Earth?
Right. Yeah. Do you like following orders all the time? Is
Yeah,
that what you really want to do? I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good question to ask, but I think the way he's asking it is not terribly tactful.
yeah. And I to the episode's credit, it knows that. And so
Yes.
I really like the conversation with Uhura and Beto at the end. That was very
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
We have got to give a shout out to Celia Rose
Oh,
Gooding,
yeah,
who
she's
just
fantastic.
absolutely killed it in this episode. I was almost in tears at one point in this episode where she is connected through the neural interface and is just heaving And I felt
Yep.
that. So that
Yeah.
was amazing.
A lot of wonderful unspoken performances from these characters. It was a really great showcase for all the cast.
Good stuff. So overall, you liked it.
Yes, very much.
Very cool.
Good.
Any other final thoughts? Otherwise, speaking of psychology, we've got Dr. Nani on tap.
Nice. Yeah, I've said enough already. I'm sure Nani will say something profound.
No doubt, because she always does. But thank you so much, John, for sharing
Thank you.
your profound thoughts. That
Yeah.
was wonderful stuff. And I definitely need to check out those documentaries. It sounds like I've got to be in a good state of mind to handle it, but also worth watching.
For sure.
Because one good thing the documentaries do is they show you a side of life that you may or may not be exposed to and help you understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, buddy. Take
Thank you.
care and
Have
have
a
a
good
good
night.
night.
Yeah, thanks for calling, John.
All right, Dr. Nani, how's it going?
Well, it's first day of the semester, so a little nutty. Still stuck at work.
Oh,
Hence the
boy.
different background than
Oh.
usual. Yes.
Yeah.
And no, pressure. I usually think John is the profound one. I'm just, saying terms here,
Hey, you know what?
Um,
John does come out with profound thoughts. It's true.
Yeah, truly. But
You can hold your own, though.
You're throwing out the $5 words, Dr. Nani, that I've never heard before.
Well, okay. So today's word is egocentric bias. I
Ooh,
was
tell
noticing
us
there was
more.
Let's go.
I was thinking there was a lot of perspective. People were, seeing things from their own perspective. I was like, wait, I know there's a word for this. And it took me a little bit to get to it. But yeah, egocentric bias, meaning we see things from our own perspective or through the glasses of our experiences. So how Uhura, she wanted to communicate with the creature, with the Jakaro, because, well, she's a communications officer, right? That's, like you said, it's what she studied. That's what she wants to do. And then you also have Beto, who, whether he realized it or not, but Uhura points it out to him that he is hurt and he's angry and he's scared because of his sister and almost losing her. And so he, was wanting to attack something. He was looking for a scapegoat. And he
Yeah.
decided that that Starfleet was his scapegoat, and he was just going to pick on them until he, I guess, heard what he wanted to hear or needed to hear. Maybe that's, I think, where it
Yeah.
eventually got to it. Yeah.
I do wonder what his end goal was with this. Was he going to finish this documentary and then show it to Erica, his sister, and say, see, Starfleet's a mistake. Get out while you can. Was that it? I don't know.
If it was, it wasn't going to make a difference because she's doing it because, like she said, or I guess was Uhura said it. We chose to be here.
Yeah.
It was a decision, and her being there, it isn't just a logical thing. It's also an emotional thing. It's where she feels like she belongs, and so I don't think there was anything that Beto could have said to her that would have talked her out of the feeling. I mean, if getting nearly eviscerated by the Gorn and losing part of her hand as she was being digested didn't change her mind. It's I don't think a lot is going to.
No,
Mm-mm.
the passion that all of these officers have for what they do and why they do it really comes through toward the end when I guess maybe Beto has a bit of a change of heart and does see the other side and includes that in his documentary. And it might be, I mean, Paul calls it a pretty metallic bow, but it maybe is a little too touchy-feely goody, in my opinion. Like it's a real 180.
Oh, and incidentally, when I was listening to John, I actually think that the encounter at Farpoint things look more like jellyfish than squid.
Hmm.
And I thought
Yeah.
that the Jakaro looked more like space shrimp.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Okay.
I can see it. They seemed kind of like butterfly dragons to me, but I see shrimp
That's
too.
true. A flying space shrimp.
Yeah,
How's that?
I went Mothra. I just went full
Okay.
kaiju. This is Mothra in space.
That I can also see. Oh, I did like how even though they were, messing with the poor Jikaru's mind, essentially, right, trying to make her only focus on, well, what's it, evil and destruction or whatever those negative things that they were, violence, whatever they were talking about. The her egocentric bias is she was still a mom. It's like right at the end,
Yep.
but my babies, so through all of that, she could still think, but my babies. And I was just like, oh, that's the part that actually made me cry. I was just like, I was
You
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
don't mess with Mama Bear. Mm-mm.
Or Mama Space Moth Dragon.
Yeah, Mama Shrimp. What do you want to call her?
Butterfly.
Yeah. Any other thoughts you've got to share, Dr. Nani?
Not really, because my brain is kind of mush, and from days of working, and I think I like summer better when I can, this is all I
Hey,
have. This is my only thing that I, have to worry about. At the end of the day, it's like, ooh, what can I say? And I can write out notes and be all eloquent, and not sit here going, oh, I was sitting literally in the Earl Green room going, I can't remember what I was going to talk about.
hey, it happens to
Oh
the
my
best of us, and
God,
you know
it'll come to
what?
me.
Hey,
My husband's first day of teaching back started today as well. Feelings kind of mutual all around. That's the vibe I'm getting. So make sure you get some rest, okay?
I will. Thank you.
thank you
All
for
right.
calling,
Thanks for
Dr.
calling
Nani.
in. Good to
ladies.
see you.
Good night.
All right. And next up, we have Cheyenne. Hello. It's nice to meet
Hi.
Hi,
you.
Cheyenne.
I'm glad to see you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks for joining
calling.
us.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, what did you think about this one?
I liked this episode. I know all of the episodes this season have been pretty divisive on the Discord. It seems like everybody has a lot of different opinions on things. I'm the kind of person I'm gonna like it no matter what, I think. I just really enjoy Star Trek. I can always find something in it that I like.
Hey, that's fair.
That doesn't mean I don't have criticisms. But I'm still able to enjoy it. I think the thing that I liked about this episode was I did like the documentary format kind of thing. I think it was a little jarring at the beginning when it just kind of opened with the documentary and not with the credits or even just like a regular cold open. But I think that that kind of stylistic difference was really neat. I like that they're changing it up that way, so you don't always know what to expect episode to episode. It kind of keeps it fresh. But the other thing that I really liked about it was that I liked that Beto is somebody who's outside of Starfleet that is coming in and asking questions. Because that isn't
Yes.
something that we see a lot in
Right.
Star Trek is people outside of Starfleet that, get to have opinions other than like on DS9 we get the Bajorans that don't always agree with what the Federation is doing. But I
Yeah.
think
Oh, that's such
really,
a good
yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
We
call.
do need that perspective of folks who are, say, like kind of around Starfleet but aren't part of Starfleet themselves. What do they think about Starfleet? I was hoping we'd get a shred more of an answer to that in this documentary, but it's okay. I kind of like how it's open-ended too and just makes everybody come to their own conclusions.
Yeah. And I think because I know there's a lot of like opinions about the documentary itself. Is it a documentary? Is it something else? Because like he did come in with an agenda and it was angry, and his whole agenda was to really like expose the colonizer of it all.
Right.
And I think that's a valid criticism to have of Starfleet because if you zoom out of what Starfleet does, they are kind of imperialistic. They're spreading themselves across the quadrants. They're trying to gather people into the Federation and grow their colonies. That's pretty imperialistic. Whether they want to see themselves as benevolent or not, it's still imperialism.
It's a
And
fair
I
question to ask, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's important to ask those questions because I think we do need to be critical of Starfleet and the Federation, that they're not infallible. And I think that's a really important piece. And Earth and humanity has a huge problem with colonialism. And that's something that continues, and we have to take a look at that. And again, Star Trek is a reflection of what's happening in real life right now. And colonialism still deeply impacts and affects a lot of people. So I think it's a huge part of that. So I appreciated those questions. I wish that they had been asked better. I think it was kind of derailed by Beto's anger and his angle of trying to like do the expose type of thing, and then like the secret filming of Uhura wasn't cool. But I did like that we saw like the different camera angles because that finally confirms that there are cameras everywhere on the ship, and that's why we can get playbacks in other.
That is true. We can glean that out of all of this.
No
And
privacy whatsoever. You gotta pick your nose. Well, make sure you do that in the privacy of your own room.
Right.
and don't put a camera in there.
No, no. Check all the corners.
Yeah. That's some fantastic stuff, Cheyenne. Have you got anything else to add? Any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm with Ashley on the Jakaru being Mothra. It's just colorful Mothra. So
Yes, yes, colorful
I thought
Mothra.
it was beautiful. I do think the B plot was a little bit lacking. I wish we had gotten a little more about the war that was happening between those non-Federation species and
Yeah.
Yeah.
more of an explanation as to why the Federation was inserting themselves into something like that.
Agreed, because it sounds complicated.
Well, I think we've got one sentence that explains that. It's classified.
Yeah, or no comment. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have. I'll let Alan come in and tell us all what he thinks.
All right,
Awesome.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much for calling in. It was
Thank you
really
for
nice
calling,
to see you,
Cheyenne.
and thank you
Yeah.
so much for your insights. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, take care. See you on the Discord.
See ya.
All right, and hello, Alan. How's it going, buddy?
Hey,
Hey, it
Alan.
is so good to see you all here tonight. And what better place to be than a Monday night with Mission Log?
That's right.
I can't think of any place else I'd rather be.
No,
Yeah,
I like it right
exactly.
here.
Yeah, this is good.
Definitely.
Yeah, so what'd you think of this one?
I I I did like this episode. I think I had to sit with it a little bit and I had to rewatch it. And in thinking about it, I really came to appreciate it more. And a part of it was the whole documentary aspect of it. Um, it took me a while to sort of come around to, okay, no, the documentary is the arc of the story.
Hmm.
And that's maybe not how you'd create a documentary in real life. At least not, maybe, or maybe you do. Maybe this is one of those sort of like Michael Moore style. I have some thoughts and I'm going to give them to you now documentaries. But I think it is sort of showing a progression of his character in terms of, where he starts from and where he winds up with. He definitely sort of comes at it from the uh, bro, I'm just asking questions here, school of journalism. Um,
Honestly, okay, how much training does he actually have
I'm
in his profession? I would really love to have known that answer because it seems like he's just kind of DIYing it? Question mark?
I do I think that he probably is trained in journalism and trained in documentary filmmaking to some degree because I think that he otherwise he would use whatever other tool set he has to make his point that he's trying to make. If he were, a chef, he'd make a five-course meal about why Starfleet sucks. But he is a documentary and so therefore we this is what we get. Um, but uh, you know, and as far as I've heard people say, well, how could he get this job? Well, he presents himself one way, and Starfleet has no reason to doubt his credentials or doubt his abilities. Um, there are cases where I know people in real life have gotten jobs at meatpacking plants in order to document examples of animal abuse.
Truth.
Hmm.
People get jobs for a bunch of different reasons sometimes. So
Hmm.
these things
Yeah.
happen.
It
But
does make you wonder, why did Starfleet
yeah,
say, yeah, you get to make this?
Yeah.
I think he probably presented itself his sort of aims and his ambition in ways that were favorable to them. And he just left out the part where it's like, oh, I'm going to sort of Shanghai this whole enterprise, ha ha ha, and see and put it towards my own perspective. I will
Not
say
exactly honest if
yeah,
that's what happened, but it could have
Yeah.
yeah,
been.
Hmm.
yeah. But what I love about this episode and what made me ultimately come around to sort of appreciate it is the ending. Because if we can take what is presented here at face value, and that the chronology of the documentary is what it presents itself to be. He did this thing. He made the choices that he made. He asked the questions that he made. He asked the questions that he asked. But in the end, he was forgiven and he was invited to the party. And that's what Starfleet does. Starfleet, at least with the people that we have, can say, look, we know what you were going after. And this is probably the Uhura effect on this whole proceeding. We
For
know what you were
sure.
going after. We know what your intentions were. Here's here's what we are trying to present to you, and here's what we're trying to show you. And if you're willing to see our point of view, you're welcome to sit at the table. You're willing to come to the party.
Right. Right. Once he did open up to seeing
Yeah.
all sides,
Mhm.
his perspective changed a little bit, and he was no
Hmm.
longer just this angry guy out for vengeance or a hit piece or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
is really, I'm sorry, Ashley, go
oh, oh, no,
ahead.
no. I would say, Alan, I love how you've phrased that. Like he admitted he was wrong and he is forgiven and
Hmm.
given a, he's literally invited to the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's really beautiful, and that is really emblematic of what Starfleet does. This is what the Federation does.
That's some
Yeah.
if we can go if we can go there, that's some prodigal son action right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, this was his journey
Mm,
of discovering what is Starfleet, which is why I wish he would have done the more Michael Moore approach that you mentioned and made it
Hmm.
all about him.
mm.
Yeah.
But
And
hey,
yeah, and if I may, I don't want to take up too much time.
yeah, by all means.
But I think the ultimate lesson too for us here as the viewers, what is Starfleet? The answer at the end is we are Starfleet. The people are Starfleet. The
Mm.
people who comprise Starfleet make up its character. And if you want a good institution, make sure that there are good people in it. Because if you have bad people in the institution, you're going to get a bad institution. If
Mm.
you have good people, you have a good institution. And I'm sure that's not applicable to anything in the real world, but we'll just
Oh,
leave it there.
no.
Mm.
That's a great note to end on, Alan. Thank you so
And then
much.
and so from Big Ed to Jefferson Drum, have fun, Brandon. We'll see you guys later.
All right.
Thanks for
Have a good
calling,
night,
Alan.
Alan. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
calling. Hey, Brandon, how is it going?
Hello, it's going all right. That was I did not even think about that handoff until he mentioned it. That was great. That was fantastic.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
that pure Alan fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really have enjoyed your scenes as Jefferson Drum, Brandon,
Thank
by the
you.
way. Thank
Hey,
you.
It's been a real blast. It's really fun to do.
No, I love it. I love it, man.
Right on. Yeah, check out Brandon on genealogy.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So
I
where'd you land on
definitely
this
check
one,
it out.
man?
I was definitely check it out for more than just me because there's a lot better than me on there in the discussion. I'm also there, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you are there and you are a part of a very good production. We'll say that
Yeah,
much.
it's a lot of fun.
Thanks.
For this one, I'd say something that struck me at the I actually found the time to watch this one several times. I don't always get around to it. I thought the story here was very Star Trek. I think that doesn't necessarily mean like it was like, oh, this is just the best Star Trek story, but it was like, okay, this is let's write a Star Trek story. And I thought the style was a bold effort. Like I like Strange New Worlds taking um uh taking chances, and I know somebody is going to remind me about this if I don't like the puppet episode next season.
Correct.
You guys are going to be like, hey, Brandon, remember when hypocrisy does not invalidate my argument. But I like that they took this new approach to it while also telling a really classically Star Trek story. It had its hits and its misses. One of the things that I found really striking, and it didn't occur to me until the moment that it happened is we get I think the first person we get this with is Pike, the straight into the lens shot, perfectly framed, straight into the lens, and it certainly made me think about how we just do not do that in fictional television. It's just not done. You don't have people spike the lens like that, and the because it's so rarely done, we've literally never seen this side of these characters. And
that's true. Good
Ooh,
call.
really good shout there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really like I thought, wow, Pike looks calm, intense, but weary in this shot. And the straight in the lens from Celia as Uhura, there was, I don't even know how to describe. There was an intensity that was very different from Pike's. A lot of just sort of subtle expression that shows us what incredible actors these people are, which is no surprise to anybody.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a really great way of getting the perspectives of each character too, because it's so raw and like in your face, in their face.
Yeah. And they're taking up that shot is of their face is taking up pretty much the entirety of the screen. Which is also not super common. It feels very personal.
Very.
And so just hats off, to the director of photography for that. It was just very good.
Nice.
I thought I don't have a single huge cohesive point now that I've come after a lot of people who have had them. But
okay.
I also liked, somebody mentioned earlier, Pike's line about seeing someone die, his response to that. I love that he called Beto out on that.
He did.
Yeah. I Brandon, that made, when I watched the episode, it made me think of what you had to say on our live show a few weeks back. I was like, oh snap, Pike coming out all swings, taking big swings at him.
Yeah, and I liked that he straight up said you wouldn't like it if somebody asked you about it, because there's just some questions you just don't ask people.
No.
And certainly not just like, hey, have you seen somebody die?
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Yeah, don't do that.
Pike has obviously had some media training because he knew how to handle that. He is experienced at being interviewed.
Right. And there are some people who would be like, well, I'm about to.
Now, who among the crew would have done that? Who got cut out?
Ortegas would have said that.
Yeah.
I mean, also because it's her brother. She's like, get out of my face.
Well, that was Erica most of the episode. She was just kind of annoyed by him.
I mean, your kid brother's putting a camera in your face. I'd say get on my face too.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. Well, any final thoughts, Brandon, before we let Cherie take over?
Yeah, just one, and then I'm out. And I'd love to, if I can sort of piggyback on what Alan was saying, because I thought he raised a really good point about the message, but I want to add on to it as well and say it's not just have good people in your institution, be the good people in your institution, and that is how it will be a good institution.
That's wonderful.
For sure.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
All I had to do was lightly steal it from Alan. That's all.
It was putting like some hot sauce on an already good take.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
Hey, you as well. Thanks so much for calling in. Good to see you.
Thanks for calling,
Good to
Alan.
see you too.
Or Brandon, sorry.
All right. And we have one more caller before we close up the show. And so let's say hello to Cherie. Hi.
Cherie.
Hey.
Welcome back to the show.
How's it going?
Well, in honor of the space sea creatures, I wore my Cetacean Ops shirt.
Love it. Looking good.
Yeah,
also
choice.
we're doing the blue, gold, red.
We are.
We coordinated that. We definitely planned that.
First guest, last guest of the night.
Again,
we
definitely planned that.
I definitely would not be a science officer unless you count library science, which I guess
that's a science.
Hey,
so
it
literally has science in the name. Go for it.
That counts.
There we go.
I mean, let's be real. I'm either flying the ship or I'm ship's bartender. So
I would be the librarian.
I don't want to be a command, but I don't like that kind of responsibility. But okay, I'd rather be the bartender.
Yeah.
I'd be the librarian that has to tell Riker and Troy to get out of stacks, not do that there.
Oh my gosh, you're a crack up. Well, what did you think about this episode, Cherie? Where'd you land on it?
So, as I said in the chat that like I wish you need to start putting like kind of like a on the poll of like, did you like it? Did you not like it? Because it's like I want to know what other people said, so I have to vote on the poll. But I don't feel like I fall really hard on either side this time. Like, because for me personally, for me to like truly dislike something, I have to dislike the message. Um, and there were aspects of the message which I felt could have been better, but I think that was I think it was like too vague for me to I feel like I needed more information about the whole war thing. I needed more information about the Lutani. I needed more information about the Chikaru to really make like a more firm assessment because I completely understand like I watched a review of somebody whose opinion I respect very much and they downright hated this episode. And their criticisms were valid, but I felt like they also did say that it was just very vague though, and I'm like, well, yes, it is vague, and that's why it didn't bother me as much because like I actually didn't interpret a lot of them that way, but I can see where someone might. And if you do, like there's nothing there to really say you can't interpret it that way because it's kind of vague. So
Exactly. Yes.
but I will say I do disagree that it kind of lets you make your own like decision because at the end I feel like the message is very clearly Starfleet good and these are good people that make up this and that should matter more than like all of the bad rules that they're talking to who have been classified. We don't get
So was it too much, do you think? Or was it too much of a reversal or was where do you think it
also
didn't
I
go
feel
well?
like they made Beto a little bit too much of a straw man of just like because he hadn't axed a grind, that means his questions weren't legitimate, but they are legitimate questions.
Yes.
And just because he maybe wasn't asking them for legitimate reasons doesn't change that it is still a legitimate question to ask. It's just
That's completely fair.
His intentions weren't pure and journalistic because, as people have pointed out, he's not a journalist. But that doesn't mean they aren't good questions.
Yeah, and I think Uhura is really good to point that out. It's like,
yeah, and I did
like,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like it's not a bad thing that you're asking these questions.
Yeah.
In fact, these are things that should be asked. But
right after she's like, but you're not asking them for the right reasons, and that's also fair to point out because that was correct in the episode, but it means that we are able to kind of shove off the like, but what are the answers to these questions? It's like, but Pike cooks good dinner, so who cares?
Not gonna lie, I see your point. It's true. We're all just having a really good time. We're Starfleet, Rava. There is a bit of it is a bit much in that sense. Yes, I do not disagree. And I think we land in similar places on this one where I've seen reactions all over the place from people. I do not love or hate this episode. I kind of like how it is vague. And that is why we've all landed in different places. And that's kind of what makes it fun and good Trek.
I would say I prefer I feel like for me personally, I felt like it was vague in kind of like not the best way. That was one of the parts that I didn't like about the episode. I prefer how Deep Space Nine is very clear what everyone has done. And then you do have to like, did they do the right thing? I don't know, but I do like Garrick.
Also a fair critique. Yeah, I saw a lot of comparisons to In the Pale Moonlight with this episode.
And
where
I feel like that's
they should have gone there.
Like, yeah, because like you very clearly know what everyone did and why they did it. I would have liked more, like, because with the Lutani, we don't know. Like, I did appreciate that they weren't all on board. Like, some of them were like, no, we did the wrong thing, and some of them were like, no, give us the creature back. And so I did appreciate that, but I feel like we need more information about the Lutani and more information about the Chikaro to really be able to have more of a meaningful discussion about that.
I agree. And I think that would have also just been better for context to really understand what was going on and maybe why Starfleet is there to help. Because we don't have good answers to that. In fact, we don't have answers.
Yeah.
It's classified.
It's classified.
I know.
I feel like too much of Strange New Worlds is classified, and
Truly.
I'm not a fan of that trope.
Truly.
And I mean, hey, Strange New Worlds has been kind of all over the place, just generally speaking, this season, but it has done one thing, and it's got us all talking a lot about Strange New Worlds, no matter whether you love it or hate it or somewhere in between, or whether you change your mind every week. Here we are having great discussions. So, I mean, hey, kudos to Strange New Worlds for at least giving us something good stuff to chew on.
Something I will say that is kind of sort of unrelated to this episode, but just kind of in general about Strange New Worlds. Best looking crew. Just all percentage-wise,
agreed.
best looking crew. I mean, just like, even honestly, even if I hated the show, I might still watch it just because they're so pretty. All of them are so pretty. I just like there's definitely like I know they were trying to do that with Enterprise, but I feel like and T'Pol is a very, very pretty lady. But I feel like with this crew, it's just like percentage-wise, so deeply attractive that it's just like monkey brain, just like so pretty.
It's honestly not fair at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To use a phrase we use in genealogy, everybody is looking so Mickey Outy tonight. Literally everyone.
They are. Yeah, it's true. Everybody's hot. Everybody's hair is on point.
Yeah, everybody's
Uniform's
got great hair.
impeccable.
Good grief.
Or even off-duty stuff, the fashion choices. I like Uhura's sweater in this episode. Very side point, but I thought, gosh, that looks good on her.
It's a very Uhura sweater. I think you could rock that sweater, Shar.
I think, I would love one of those sweaters.
Like, yeah.
I'd love to try it out. Like, Uhura's gonna wear it better. I don't care. But it's a cool looking sweater no matter what.
It is a cool sweater.
I do just love all of the different outfits they're putting her in this, because like I feel like, Cellular Rose Gooding, they're a very attractive actor, just in general.
Oh, very much.
But like I feel like in the first season, maybe even the first, like up to the second season, they're just in uniform, so it's just like, very professional at work, and they're very good, and they even have a whole storyline in the Strange New Worlds of just like, I'm very focused on work, very work oriented, and so I'm like, yeah, I get that. And then like as soon as I saw them in that ball gown in the wedding episode, I was like, oh, you're very pretty.
Yeah,
you're so so pretty.
Fire.
I mean, I knew you were good looking. You're all good looking, but.
And
wow.
You know what? Cheyenne in the chat agrees. Uhura looks amazing all the time, they said, and it's true. Facts. Yes.
Big props to the costuming department. I mean, they're always like just absolutely knocking it out of the park, but they have especially done that this season. Home runs all around.
1,000%. Any other final thoughts, Shuri, before we close up tonight?
Just as far as like hard-hitting episodes of A Strange New Worlds, I still think my favorite is Ad Astra Per Aspera, and I'd love to see them top that, but to be honest, I don't have high hopes. But I'd love to see it happen.
I'd love to see them try. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us and calling in, and we'll hope we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, Shuri.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right, Ashley. Well, we are at the bottom of the show now, and I have only one question for you.
What's your question, Shar?
What is Starfleet?
Ooh. For me, I think I have to agree with what Ortega said. Starfleet is my family. They're and I think about that in when I think about what is Starfleet, I'm thinking also like, what am I seeing on my screen, but also the people that I interact with in the Star Trek fandom. Like, y'all are my family. Y'all are the people that make my body and soul relax when I'm with you. And I love that. What about you? What about you, Shar?
Good answer.
Thank you. What is Starfleet to you?
It is, I think, hope, family, happiness. I am uplifted by folks like you and the folks that in our Discord and the folks that I've gotten to know along the way just by being in this fandom, because we all believe in an inclusive, better future for all of us. And so if we can ever get there, I'd be so, so happy. But in the meantime, it's like what Brandon said. We need to be good people and make that happen. We have that power. And
Yeah.
so to be around people who also think the same way, we can be that power. And that gives me a lot more hope than anything else in the world. And let's face it, sometimes it's bleak out there. So this is the happy place.
Yeah, yeah. Beto asked the question, what's the line between the Federation and an empire, a warship and a starship? And Uhura gives that answer. It's the people.
Yep.
And, if, as Alan and Brandon have said, if we have good people in our organization, if we are the good people in our organization, that is what makes a difference.
Yeah, good people do good.
Indeed.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this episode of Mission Log Live. Any final thoughts? Like final thoughts before we wrap up? We're going over time here.
Mortegas, I need more of that, please and thank you. I really connected with everything Melissa was doing in this episode to bring to light Ortega's like struggle and the pain that she doesn't talk about, but how she's found her place, and how much she loves how her crew is her chosen family, but they are just as much her family as Beto is, and I feel that so hard.
Yes.
And I know you do too. You're my sister, Shar, and I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Yes,
Yeah.
we are found family
Yeah.
for real. Yes.
Yeah, so I felt all of that. And I want more of that. Gosh, you see what happens when you give Melissa something to do. Give her something to do, and she just nails
Agreed.
it. It's beautiful. Anyway,
Yes.
What about you? What's your final
More
thoughts?
Ortegas. I have to agree with you. I want to know so much more about this character, and gosh, do I want her to work through her stuff, because she has got stuff on her mind.
She got stuff.
So yeah, more of that, please. Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production on Mission Log and Mission Log Live is by the irreplaceable Earl Green. Please be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry Podcasts. And if you want to support Mission Log directly, you can do that. Give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog.
Next Monday, it's season 3, episode 8, 4.5 Vulcans.
Thanks to everybody who joined us live or later, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.